This show is an opinion-based show. The opinions expressed here are of the person who expressed them and not a reflection of how League Gaming or its staff speaks or thinks. This show is for mature audience.
You know what? Fuck that. You guys get so butthurt about this show and our opinions. I don't even know why I bother putting a disclaimer. You pulled the mercy card once, just contact him when you get butthurt, cause it's coming.
Are you still here? The other mic was never working.
Back to the call. Ow!
That's what happens when the one twin tries to eat the other.
And burying them in KFC and Cheetos.
Throwing them on the floor? Hi!
That's some entertainment, but nobody wants to see your balls.
Welcome to the LG Doghouse. I'm your host, Sir Mike Knight. With me, as always, Jet, Narrators, and joining us, our very special guest, Okie Vision.
What's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Okie, for those who don't know you, give us a brief synopsis of your time in LG.
Signed up season 23, been doing management for a while, AGM about 4 or 5 seasons, owner twice, decided to pick up this season, just want to run a good team, try to help as much as possible, and see where it goes.
All right.
Those have gotten better as the season's gone on.
I know.
The first one dragged like 5 minutes about Davos telling us his whole life story. It's been a good last couple of weeks.
I think so, man. I mean, what?
The sooner
Readers
people
last week
care
was just,
or realize that no one cares,
it was,
the better.
Yeah. I mean, it was drop shot that freaking just kind of boom. Like I was like, oh yeah, there we go, that works. All right, so let's talk about the first topic, and it's a hot topic, or it was a hot topic, but it is turned into a hot topic yet again because of recent events. We got Jason29 and his banning, and Lord. Jet, start us off.
There should be a graphic where it's just Jason's face and then like the old Street Fighter version. This is really interesting. I can't wait to see how this plays out. So basically, we all know what happened to Jason. Apparently, he was leading a mutiny to overthrow Lord of Hockey and the Kootenai Ice and take over. And Lord originally got banned for not doing manager stuff and all this other stuff. And then a couple days later, Jason got banned for leading a revolt on Kootenai and saying that all that stuff was lies. And then here we are, what, 2 weeks later? A week later? Now, Lord of Hockey gets banned for everything that Jason said originally. So now we have this weird situation where, well, if he really wasn't doing his manager duties, do we still ban Jason? Does Jason get unbanned because all of a sudden everything he said really was true and he wasn't just being his normal pricky self? I mean, it's just an interesting situation.
Raiders.
Yeah, this is a weird one. This is one of those things where people lose trust in the box because now it really does look like you just kind of had an excuse to ban Jason for things you may have not been able to ban him for previously. I'll play devil's advocate here because that's kind of fun, and maybe it wasn't so much what Jason was saying like about Lord. Maybe it was like the intent behind it. Like I feel like Lord was able to prove that the only reason why Jason was going to the Bogs was to try and take over the team. Like maybe there was that kind of evidence that kind of led to it. That's the only thing I can honestly think of that would make this make kind of sense.
Yeah. Okie?
I don't know. With that, I'm just going to say karma's a bitch. I've seen Jason around for a while and just how he treats people. And I think if you go around treating people like shit, eventually, you're going to step in shit. And with him, all he's ever done, even when I was on his team one time, he acted like he was my best friend. The second I got traded to another team, oh, you're a piece of shit, you're this, you're that, blah, blah. And when you go around treating people like that, eventually it's going to come back to bite you in the ass. That's all I have to say.
I mean, he seems like Jason to me. I've always had a pretty decent relationship with Jason ever since I was on his team. Jason to me seems like he tries too hard to be a dick to the point where he goes overboard. He tries to be funny and, kind of like Captain Paulish, except he doesn't know when to stop, whereas Captain Paul does. Captain Paul doesn't do racist shit.
That's true.
So, yeah.
It's
Say what you want, but I mean, they both have the same type of attitude, except Captain Paul will not go racist with it. And that's kind of what put a bad taste in everybody's mouth, was the whole racism with Jason. I mean, a lot of people loved him or hated him to begin with. But this is a messed up situation where I honestly am glad I'm not a bog. Because this is a really tough decision. I mean, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. There's no middle ground here. Either you let Jason back in, and you eat shit for wrongfully banning somebody, or you leave Jason out and you just ban somebody for 3 seasons for doing nothing. I guess you got to kind of decide what the lesser of two evils is. There's obviously a lot of other things that go into it, but go ahead, Jeff.
This is a Boggs where they have to do work. They have to go back in and relook at all this proof that was submitted and see, okay, this was a lie, this was true. Based on this now, this was true. Lord is one of those guys. Lord's been around for a while. He talks about, I was here back in the original hockey leagues. I'm Brody's best friend. And he was in the manager's chat the other day talking to Brody, and he's like, man, I can't wait to be done with CHL management. I'm sick of these little guys. I want to go back up to the big leagues. And Brody just kind of laughed at him. And Brody said, why don't you worry about trying to run a CHL team first? And he's like, no, I'm too good for the CHL. I'm better off playing in the NHL and AHL. And then here we are 2 days later. It found out that he wasn't even managing his CHL team. I think the Bog's going to have a lot of work to do. It's going to be a fun couple of days to see what happens. See how many free Jasons we get in the shout box.
I find it weird, and there's a lot more evidence to support like my devil's advocate case. Like, that's out the window, because there's a lot more evidence to support that they just tried to ban him for something because they couldn't on other things. Because if you look at the one, what was it, our first episode this season, where McDonald came out and said, hey, if I would have handled this, Jason would be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that was the racist remarks on Twitch, for those who don't know what we're talking about.
Shortly thereafter, they found the way to get him gone. So I honestly don't see Jason coming back. As much as I dislike his actions and a lot of the things he does, and I still think he was second tagging last season, I think that in this instance he should be allowed back, and it would actually be huge for the league and for the trust of the Bogs, for the Bogs to eat shit on this one.
I just feel like that, though, that's a slippery slope, because you start doing that, then you have everybody appealing and different things to be like, hey, man, well, this was my situation, too, and this is that. And next thing you know, it's just this shit, like cluster storm, you have to deal with everybody else who's ever, been on that gray moral area. I just don't think you want to open that up. I think you just close it and get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to whether or not Jason puts in an appeal anyway. The Bogs aren't just gonna say, hey, we're gonna let you back in the league. You'd have to put in an appeal first. God, look at that ass. So if he puts in an appeal, then we might see him back. If not, then we won't. Bottom line. Speaking of Action Center, let's talk about second tags. That was a terrible.
We're gonna talk about air raids and all his Action Center.
I don't have a second tag.
You've been eating a lot of shit over that. Anyway.
I've been eating a lot of, the Action Center. Yeah. We'll get to that a little later when I get to my Doghouse.
So we've got second tags again. Jeff.
Woo! I love second tags. It's one of our favorite things to blow up. It's every season. There's always a few of them. I feel like this season, shout out to the Bog, shout out to Brody, whoever's doing a good job catching these second tags, whether it be the community managers turning in these players, we've gotten way more halfway through the season than we did all of last season. We had, 2 this week? We had Caustic, and then we had everybody's favorite Shoutbox Warrior, Deke, finally getting busted. Wesley Snakes, as he went by after he got Shoutbox banned, getting caught. My favorite thing about Deke, I'm going to go ahead and talk about his more so than Caustic. Deke still was always in the CHL, was always in the Shoutbox, always making forms. He made a whole form where he just ripped into North Bay. And I was like, oh, that's funny. I wonder why he cares so much about the CHL. For Wizza, he's in Sudbury. He's right across the way. So he cares so much about North Bay that he's going to second tag on Sudbury. And, with every second tag comes, okay, what next? Did the manager know? Did Wizza know? Did Gamer Gary know? I mean, it's going to be interesting. It's hard to have a second tag that just showed up that you immediately traded for and immediately rostered. It'd be one thing if you traded for him, left him on TC, and a couple weeks later you called him up. But he was immediately traded for. No one knew who he was, didn't play any games before, and then immediately bumped straight into roster. That's not a good look as an owner and as a manager. There might be more.
There it is.
Yeah, that's, I've talked to McDonald a lot about second tags and such, and if there was, I guess we'll get to that in a little bit of the show, but proving that managers knew was always the hardest part about it. I mean, we've had, the Wooly second tag over in Mississauga. That was
Mississauga.
Mississauga.
Mississauga. Okay, go ahead, keep going.
Stupid Canadian names. They, that was Caustic, and it was the same thing. It was a, rated R traded for this guy who never had played LG before, and then rostered him, and all of a sudden he's an amazing player. And where the hell did he come from? But it's always, I feel like it's the easiest explanation. Like, it's just like, oh, well, I played club with him offline, and I saw he signed up, and I picked him up. It's always just, it's so hard to prove that they knew. And a lot of times I really, truly believe that if someone is second tagging for you, there's almost no way you didn't know. If you have a player on your team that's second tagging elsewhere, I can see you not knowing that they're doing that. But if they're second tagging for you, there's no way you didn't know.
Okay.
This season, I've never seen second tags hit as hard as they're doing this season, which I think is great. And it's funny because I've actually had second tags affect me personally this season. Last game we got blown out. It was 1-8. I think it was like the first game of the week, and they actually got it overturned. So thanks, second tags.
There's no freaking way Wizia and Gamer Gary did not know. No fucking way. Yeah, there's no way to prove it, but there's no way they didn't know. Not a chance. Come on. I mean, you go out and you trade for this guy. You went out of your way to trade for him. The second tag that was already, the main tag's already on your team, and then you immediately roster him? No. There's no way you didn't know. There's no way.
It's just like North Bay, what was it, season 26 or 27 when HTH got caught?
Yep.
And okay, so the GM, they said, did know because he traded for an HTH tag that then got banned, and then he went back and traded for a second HTH tag that was caught later. But the owner got away supposedly not knowing, and it's like, after your GM comes to you and goes, hey, we should trade for this guy, and then that guy gets banned, how do you not start asking questions when they want to go get another random TC?
Here's my thing with Deke. Deke is a very easy person if you listen to him talk. A very easy person to go, oh, it's Deke. He's part of this younger, regime that says really stupid shit all the time. And they're always constantly yelling next and all these other catchphrases like they're 1980s superheroes. And it's ridiculous. You mean to tell me if Deke was talking in the party that no one knew it was Deke? Especially Wizza, especially Gamer Gary. Some of these guys, you know who he is. You know what he sounds like. I don't know. It's getting fishier and fishier.
Yeah, I don't see how they're not banned yet. Like Raiders said, if the second tag was playing for somebody else, I could see you not knowing.
Well, not only that, like, can you imagine their play style is exactly the same? They pass the same, like everything's exactly the same. It's like, wow, this guy plays exactly like that. Sounds like a, what is it? If it talks like a duck, quacks like a duck,
walks like a duck. If it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yep.
Probably big.
That's exactly it. Let's move on. Let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about what we wish LG would do for next season. Jet, start us off.
I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a positive. NHL 19, new game, new season. Already they're implementing rules for next season. In the CHL, they want to do away with the GM, AGM setup that they have now. And they're going to go to, the NHL setup where you have your owner and you have your GM. The AGM will be a normal player. You can make them later on, whatever the case may be. I hope that in the upper leagues, because you have two tiers of management. You have your NHL management that can kind of watch over the AHL management, and then you have your AHL management watching over your team. CHL, you're dealing with 60 people on your team, 35 of which have no idea what they're doing, never played LG before, brand spanking new, they're constantly whining. Then you have 15 prima donnas that all think that they're, Lord of Hockey attitude, thinking they're the best player in the world. And then you have like your three guys that think that they're the owner, that know what they're doing more than a lot of these owners are doing. And all we're doing is we're getting rid of one person before the season that you go, okay, this guy's got my back. This is going to be my GM, and together we're going to build this. It works with guys that are established in the league, that know how the league works. They're not begging for playing time on TC. It doesn't work when you have to bring in 40 new players on your roster. So that's what I hope. I hope that they really think about that before the season. With all the ownership that we're losing already, with all the constant management turnover, you want to get rid of a manager. You want to get rid of one guy that you can pick before season. The reason that we're losing management is because guys don't have managers before the season, so they ask in the shout box. They ask guys that they think are going to be expensive to be their managers, and then 2 weeks into it, they realize, oh, this guy's kind of a dick. I don't want to deal with him anymore. And then we have a whole Jason Lord situation that we're dealing with.
Hey, Raiders.
I kind of touched on it in the last segment. I would like it to be. I'd like second tagging to be harder on owners and management. I feel like I understand you don't want to punish people who maybe really didn't know, even though I feel like that's an impossible thing to not know. But I think that if you up the punishment, you also increase the rate that people report these things. I feel like they don't get reported enough because the punishment is so weak. And it's so hard to enforce. Like, as long as you can come up with a semi-explainable reason how you didn't know, you're off the hook. And I feel like that shouldn't be.
Raiders wants to create a bunch of little Raiders who all put in action center complaints. Okay.
I need to just full spawn.
Well, I wanted to make a caveat actually to one thing Raiders said. If you want to enforce that system, why not actually make an incentivized system? So say you do that, you can maybe get a TC priority or something like that over that. Because if you had, say, somebody get assigned an RA or something like that, if, you get a second tag or something, you're definitely not going to have guys, being buddy-buddy with everybody. If they find out right away, they're going to let, a bog or somebody know right away. And also, I was going to say, for one thing, though, I think for it should be done is the app's been around for, 2-3 years. And there's a thing that a lot of people don't even know, one, the app exists. Two, it would be nice to be able to go to get your stats or different things. I understand Tristan's a busy man. He does a lot. But somebody maybe to help him out or something with just basic bugs that's been around there for 2-3 years, And maybe when new players arrive, automatically they go through like a tutorial of it shows you that welcome to the ESHL video for LG and different things. So they're not asking me, how do I sign up for games? How do I do this? And all these basic things they should know already.
I've got a couple things on my wish list, and they all have to do with media. I would like access to at least the CHL forums to be able to post my own live show when we go and do our Thursday night throwdown. That would be great. I would love if there was an actual archive of our past shows that we could go easily click on, and there'd be a list of them, and you can go through them. There used to be, I don't know where the hell it went. Like, I have no idea where it went. Literally, there used to be. I could look at all the overdrives. Like, I started going through overdrive and then got bored. I started going through past Doghouses, kind of going, oh man, we should bring that back. Stuff like that. But I can't find them. I have to go on YouTube onto Crispy's channel mostly, because that's where most of them are, in order to get them. I would love if when we get a sponsor, especially, I don't know, microphone and headset sponsor, if the media shows would be able to get gear to help promote them, especially the best media show in LG history.
Maybe too, some of that money that comes out of, for donations, put that into media.
Yeah, I mean, something.
All that band money.
I mean, I don't necessarily. I mean, that should be something that they pitch to the. That should be something that they pitch. At least give F5 Penguin the freaking shit. Not that he needs it, but still. Because he's the one doing the esports commentary and shit. But I mean, obviously, any sponsor is going to look at some of the media in here, and we are all over the place. We should be able to have it. And in turn, go ahead.
Just picture Brody pitching to a headset company. This is our show. This is a Doghouse, the longest running CHL media show. And then just showing your wife just peg you with a water bottle, and then Brody just pausing it with your face right here and going, okay, now what is this was your Turtle Beach headset?
Is he muted, or am I not hearing him?
You're not hearing him. He's definitely not muted.
Just laugh. It was funny.
It was kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, all my wish lists are media based, obviously, because that's what I hold a little more dear to my heart here. But yeah, I mean, those are the three things that I think would be easy to implement. Just create an already existing media group and give us access to the forums. And I know I could get access to the Twitch account if I asked, but we have our own Twitch account. I don't need to be switching between 3 freaking Twitch accounts because I have my own as well. But yeah, that's what I would like to see. An archive be probably on top of my list.
I have one more before we move on.
Go ahead.
I think with the new game, there's always new problems. There's always something that's broken, especially when the game releases. If you're playing NHL, there's something that's broken for 9 months of the game release. With the new game, it always takes a little while for someone to find it. But the league needs to do a better job when they find something that's broken or when they find something that's being abused to immediately send something out and say, if you see that, that's it. I remember, was it 25, 26, season 26, where the goalie had the glitch where you made a save and the next thing you would bunny hop off the ice. They did a pretty good job of saying, hey, if this happens, this is what you do. But then we have this left bumper thing that all the biggies do that, I mean, it's not a glitch, but it is something you can easily abuse, especially if you're a good team. And I mean, it took them, people have been doing it all season, and it took to the last summer season, halfway through the season, for them to even address it. Let alone, they're not going to do anything about it. It's too late at this point. But to even address it, it took them that long. So next season, I'd like to see if there's something broken. It doesn't matter if it's mid-season. You need to make sure you address it. And you need to make sure that you put something out to make sure people don't abuse it.
And if you abuse it, you get a 5-minute major. Here it is.
Thank you guys, and welcome to another edition of the 5-minute major here on the LG Doghouse. I am B Major, as we will go through all of the action that happened in Week 5, the notable teams, players, and stats that you need to know coming into this week's interesting Week 5. Not a lot of teams that had great weeks, but we're going to be talking about a few of them that did, as well as some notable mentions, some players that stood out, and a few statistics that you might want to know. We are getting closer to the end of the season. The playoff picture is starting to clear up, and these weeks are crucial going into the playoffs. So let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time and begin our 5-minute major right here, right now. Let's get into it. So our teams on the power play this week, the North Bay Battalion out of the OHL. They had a great week. This is their second or third great week in a row. They've been really rolling. They were one of the top teams in the OHL this season. They've been going strong at it for all 5 weeks, so we'll get into them here in a little bit. The Victoriaville Tigres out of the QMJHL, the Owen Sound Attack, the defending Memorial Cup champions. They're featured this week. And finally, out of the WHL, the Victoria Royals. Our notable mentions this week: the Oshawa Generals with a 7-2-0 week out of the OHL, the Chicoutimi Saguenayens 6-2-1 this week in the QMJ, and finally the Calgary Hitmen with a 6-3 record. They have not been mentioned so far on the show until today, so a solid week for Calgary as they rise up in the standings a bit. So let's get in to our 4 teams on the power play this week, and we will start out with none other than the Victoria Royals out of the WHL, an 8-1 week, by far their best week so far of the season. They had been up and down for the first few weeks of the season, but this was a really big week for them with that 8-1 record, picking up points in many of those games. Helps them climb up the standings, helps them get some momentum. Very crucial time of the season, with it being week 5, and pretty much everyone really needing to pick up as many wins as they can. So a big week for the Victoria Royals to pick up a few more W's. Their notable players, the 124, he leads their team with 27 points, also has 17 goals, which leads his team, and 10 assists to boot. At right D, Sean Kit Math, 9 points, 8 assists, and 62 takeaways, but Victoria might not want to get too used to him, as he was actually called up by the Cleveland Monsters of the AHL over the weekend, so he will no longer be with the team. A big blow to their defense, of course, so we'll see what moves they make and how they do with that loss to the defensive core. And finally, Schlick the X50 at center, 24 points, 12 goals, and 12 assists for the Royals this season. And speaking of carrying it over, how about a team that has been carrying over their success from the previous season? That's right, the defending champions themselves, the Owen Sound Attack in the OHL, an 8-0-1 week this week. Got points in each and every one of their games. They're consistently a good team, and they're showing it again this season. They're noble players. Sensei Dropshot, one of the management on this team, long-time manager, long-time player. He has 31 points, 18 goals, and 13 assists this season. Leads the team in goals. Welly at right D, 14 points, 12 apples, 77 takeaways. That leads the attack for defenseman. And Adrenaline 15 at center, another one of those Owen Sound veterans, 28 points, 8 goals with 20 assists, which leads all attack players. Notable stats: both goalies for this team have a plus 82 save percentage and under a 2 goals against average. One of the better goalie tandems in the league on Owen Sound. They're known to be a very good team defensively. They play that trap style hockey, and it has always worked for them, and it seems that not much different this season, and they only allowed 6 of their goals in these 9 games. So very good week. Owen Sound consistently a good team, as we mentioned, so it won't surprise anyone if they can contend. So let's see how they can do for the rest of the season. Next up, we have the QMJHL's very own Victoriaville Tigres. They went 8-1 this week, a very good week for them that can help them get some leverage within the standings. The QMJ has been very up and down, a lot of teams moving in different spots, very inconsistent, I guess you could say, in the Q, so this will help the Tigres out in terms of the standings, get them a lot of points, and see if they can continue that into week 6. Notable players: Ride the Beholder at center, 29 points, 9 goals, and 20 assists. And no, this is not a typo, ladies and gentlemen. Lace Turnup has the same exact stats as Ride the Beholder with 29 points, 9 goals, and 20 assists. They are both tied for the team lead in dimes this season. And a little bit of goalie love to add on to it with the Tomahawk, 80.6 save percentage, a 2.11 GAA, and a 4 shutouts for him on the season. Like I said, the Tigres, it's a good week for him, a big week for him to have with how up and down the QMJHL has been. There's no telling how this conference could end up being by playoff time. So let's see if Victoriaville can take this a good week, ride the momentum into the next few weeks, and lock themselves a solid playoff seeding. Last but not least, we have possibly the hottest team in the entire CHL right now in the North Bay Battalion, an 8-1 record in week 5. They come off of another solid week in week 4 where they went 8-0-1. So a combined 16-1-1 in their past 2 weeks. An absolutely outrageous streak that this team is on. They have been playing amazing hockey, and some of the players have contributed to that amazing hockey. Coach Reebok with 35 points, 19 goals, 16 assists. Tsunami with a team leading 37 points, 9 goals, 18 assists. And at left D, one of the management, Grandpa Yager, 15 points, 12 assists, and 42 takeaways. Notable stats for this battalion team: only one game this week where they allowed more than 2 goals, excuse the typo on the screen, and they also had a 100% penalty kill this week, did not allow 1 goal while shorthanded. Props to all of our teams mentioned this week on the 5-Minute Major. Props to you for watching this video. Thank you for sitting through and supporting. Have any feedback, any comments, feel free to leave them down below. Still trying to get used to everything, but I think we're starting to get in a pretty nice flow. Thanks to the Doghouse guys for allowing me to do this segment each and every week. And speaking of the Doghouse guys, let's get it right back to them. Thank you guys for watching. Appreciate all the love and support. As this is the end of our 5-Minute Major, let's flip it over to the guys back at the LG Doghouse. Take it away.
Thank you, Major. And now let's cut into the Doghouse. Jet, who's in the Doghouse?
You know, my Doghouse is going to be Oki Vision's mustache. Look at that cookie duster, dude. That should be immediate Doghouse. That is not great. We have some good facial hair. Mike's got the, the old man, good goatee. Me and Raiders have the beards going on. And then Oki's got the Reno 911 mustache, which, needs a little work. But my second Doghouse, because what's one Doghouse without another, is going to be Lord of Hockey. Only because he thought he was doing such a good job at management. Like, if you talk to him, you would think his team was doing great. He got rid of the cancer, which was Jason, and then everything was going to be fine. And then it turns out that nothing was fine. The team is in an awful place. He apparently abandoned the team, and now you're gone. So you talked all that about how you were going to be a big AHL owner, that you were done with the CHL because you were too good of an owner to be in the CHL. Well, now you can own in a banana league in one of those big leagues. It's not going to be an LG with that NMO, no management list he's on.
Air Raiders, even though I already know who's in the Doghouse.
Actually, I'm going vintage Raiders, and I have 2. First up, Captain Paul, for another ridiculous show all about us. They even played our show in the background of their show, which is awesome. Thank you for the publicity.
Copyright.
But you and Swifty want to go and make outlandish claims about how amazing you guys are and how much better you are than us at the game, and how no one would trade you two for all of us.
I'm not positive,
First of all, I think
more
people would trade you two for just me. I like Swifty. I had to go look because I was like, well, maybe they do have better CHL careers than I do. But Swifty here has spent this is his 7th season in the CHL, and other than his first season, he didn't have another winning season until season 27. And his only AHL season, he went 1-16-6.
I have more AHL wins than Swifty does.
They basically don't even let him ECU. He got the ECU for the Monsters because they're awful this season, but that was his first game. Like they what 116-6, and then Captain Paul. This is his 5th season in the CHL, and he never had a winning season until last season.
When he finally split off from Jason.
Yes. So get off my dick. You're not better players. Not to mention spending the first 10 minutes of your show calling me a pussy for filing an action center, which leads me into my second doghouse, which is LG as a whole.
There's vintage aerators right there.
Vintage.
Whole group.
And a segue. Eat your heart out, Mike. So basically, yeah, I file action centers. I like to enforce the rules. I like to make sure that the rules are enforced, and that is the model here at LG. The model here at LG is that the community polices itself, and if that's going to be the case, LG should not tolerate the community giving another member of the community shit for doing so. And I get a lot of shit for filing action centers. I got shit from a bog, Cheadle. I got shit from players, management, you name it. I get shit for it. But if that's the way you want your league to be ran and policed, you shouldn't let people who follow the rules get treated like that. But hey, and then you wonder why, oh, we can't cut down on the toxicity. Well, you don't breed a culture where people want to file action centers because if they do, their life's made a living hell from that point out. Although I love it, so keep it coming.
Okay.
My doghouse is definitely going to be the whole entire management squad for the Broncos, Swift Current Broncos. We're not an amazing team, let's say right now. We're about 500, fighting for a playoff spot. And we blow out Swift Current, and they rage quit with, I would say, about a minute left. And we just let them have it in the chat box after that. But it's just ridiculous. They also admitted to rage quitting after that. And it's ridiculous to rage quit. I've been on some pretty bad teams where we had 8 wins all season, and I had 4 of the 8. So if I can stick it through that, you should be able to stick it through 5 minutes. You know, it's ridiculous. No matter how bad it gets, I'm never going to quit. Just the way it is.
Okay. So mine is going to be a group as well. And it is TCs who think they're better than they are. And I'm going to give an example.
That's the name of Mike's autobiography.
Beeves.
Tell Rich to laugh because that was funny.
TC for the worst team in the league. My team. So, yeah, Beeves played right wing in yesterday's 9:30 game for me. Continued to skate on the right side of the post in the defensive zone. To the point where I kept skating into him. And I kept saying, get out of my fucking crease. Get out of the crease. Bro, go cover the D-man or skate into the corner, but do not come near the crease. There is no reason for you to be in the crease. And he continued to do it. Completely ignored me. To the point where they scored 2 goals because I kept running into him, couldn't cover a cross crease.
And then they get butthurt because you tell them.
Exactly. You don't listen. This is the reason why you're still in TC. And this isn't the first TC that does this shit. They think they're better than they are and they should be rostered. We'll show it. Play your position the right way, not drop-in style.
Oof.
And you know what? Sploosh Cole. Fuck it. Fuck it. The man who had to rebrand himself because he was that bad at the game. You go ahead and tell me how bad I am. But I have not once quit because I'm on a bad team. Not once. Never. I'm on the worst team in the league right now. I'm not even asking them to trade me. I actually like playing for them. Just because you're on a losing team doesn't mean that you don't stick it out. So, you know what? I have nothing more to say to you. My stats might be bad, but I've been on a lot of bad teams, and I have not once quit the league because of it. Because I'm bad. You know what? You're bad. And you quit. Yeah. So eat shit. All right, that's all the time we have for this episode of the LG Doghouse. From myself, Air Raiders, Jet, and our very special guest, Okie Vision,
Thanks for having me.
LG. Vape away.